Reversette is a pretty cool yokai. She's always been really hard to obtain for some reason though. Like, in Yokai Watch 1 she was in Lyre Mountain as an incredibly rare spawn. In 2 you have to find her in the trees in downtown Springdale, which is probably her easiest location but still a really rare spawn. And then in 3 it's like really vague as to how to get her. The medallion entry just says Gate of Whimsy and then an image of the Pretty Chamber. So you'd assume you'd get her in like an expert room or like a battle room as a rare spawn, but she actually only shows up rarely in the first puzzle area in the first room of the Pretty Chamber. Most people never found this without a guide, as this is a super obscure spot for a really obscure yokai. You have to go out of your way to get gate globes, and then come back to the chamber and go to specifically the first room of the first puzzle area, and without knowing she's there, you probably just go through it on your first run and never come back. She's so out of the way, so you'd assume she'd be great and competitive, right? That's what I assumed as well until I looked further into her kit, and then I realised she might be one of the most backwards yokai ever fucking conceived. Let's get into that. Alright, let's start with her standout feature, her skill. It boosts crit ratio for herself, as well as being more likely to be crit herself. It's a pretty good skill. You can reap the benefits of having a boosted crit chance. While hiding behind the tanks, the negative effect doesn't really matter. You can just slap an egg soul onto her to make her crits more explosive. She has an above average strength stat and usable speed. Her spirit is god awful though. She has over 100 defense and good HP, but Insecure makes it hard to use her as a tank, so egg soul is what I'd go for. Now her moveset. This is probably one of the worst movesets in the entire game. Fucking hell. Now look at this mess. A Confusion Spirit is terrible first of all, generally. And they decided to give her Storm, even though her spirit sucks, and a low base power attack for her physical attack, which is actually pretty good. The knockback is handy but pretty situational and just doesn't justify how weak it is. And on top of that, her ultimate does absolutely nothing. Gradual healing is an absolute waste of a ultimate, especially on an offensive yokai like Reversette. I really imagined her spirit and strength would be swapped before I befriended her, and if they were, she would be great. I actually only befriended her last night. I stayed up to befriend her because what I assumed when I was reading up on it, I forgot that the shopping zone was the first gate of Whimsy. So I'm going off script here, but I forgot that the shopping zone is the first first buoyant booth. Is that what they're called? Buoyancy booth? Yeah, buoyancy booth. Nobody calls them buoyancy booths because nobody talks about gates of Whimsy. But anyway, back onto the point. Let's get back to the point. So I stayed up for like an hour doing fucking nothing but grinding gate globes, only to then realise that she's in the first area and I wasted so much time. Oh god, it was a nightmare, but I got her with a forbidden fruit, and then I'm like, oh awesome, because this video was originally going to be about just generally element crit, like stuff like Teninku Light and Sapio, his name is Sapio. With stuff like light speed that lets us and magic user, and I thought Reversette was going to be one of those because I thought her spirit and strength were pretty much switched, but her strength is much better than her spirit. She's unusable, like totally unviable as a magic attacker. Anyway, we don't have a crit boosted wind yokai to my knowledge, so having Reversette fill that role will be an interesting but specific niche. Instead we have a mediocre attacker that can't be out from behind a tank with that stealth soul, but you wouldn't really want to run a stealth soul on Reversette since you'd rather want a damage boosting item, since Tackle's base power really isn't anything special. One of the lowest in the game actually, I think. Her being Heartful really doesn't do anything for her case either, since the Unity bonus is an absolute waste. Finally she's A rank, so you have to sacrifice an entire rank slot for her. I can sum up Reversette in 2 words: wasted potential. She could have been a really fun and cool attacker, and she probably can be with the right team, but as it stands now she's a very niche pick and not really relevant. After making this video I feel bad for her though. I'll make a team around her in future. What do you think of Reversette? Have you used her at all? Did you honestly remember Reversette and Reversette existed before I put up this video? Because I for sure didn't. Reversette is a whole other horrific mess. Thanks for watching and have a good day.